everybody.
Hi, guys. Well, from beautiful Salt Lake City, Utah.
It's Thank God I'm Atheist.
The podcast. I'm Dan Beecher.
And filling in for Frank this week is me, Andrea Beecher.
That's right. This is a double Beecher show. It's all Beecher all the time now.
Beecher multiplied.
It's Beecher squared. Hi.
Hi.
This is my wife, kids. I don't know, you may have heard her voice way back years ago on the show.
If you're a committed fan.
If you're a real fan, then you've already heard Andrea's voice. But if you haven't heard it before, people have been asking about you.
Have they?
People ask every now and then.
That's really kind.
And so I thought it's time to bring you back on the show.
Well, I love it. I'm excited to be a guest host instead of the gun.
Instead of an interviewee.
Yes, but that was delightful. That was wonderful. But I'm excited to just chat at you about the world.
Well, we're not going to just chat. We are going to explore topics. Coming up later on today's show, you and I are going to talk about a new Harvard Law Today is apparently a publication out of Harvard Law School. I know we're all shocked to learn it. And they put in a new article. They published an article that was really interesting about polyamory.
Yes, and the legal rights that don't exist for people within relationships such as that.
And maybe shouldn't.
Oh,
you damn dirty.
Yeah, we don't deserve
polyamorists.
We don't deserve any recognition.
I don't trust them. I don't like them. I don't know what to do with them. So that's coming up on today's show. But before that, we need to do some stories. Why don't you tell me about your first story there?
Well, I have to say, the one hesitation I had about doing this show was that I would have to read up on religious bullshit that's happening around the world. And frankly, I'm a little exhausted.
It takes a toll. I don't think people know.
I think they should know how hard it is for you guys week after week to dive into that world and try to sort through. Some of it's funny and you can laugh it off, but some of it is really serious and it's scary.
It's not great. It's why we do what we do. We try and give you some of the news that we have to read, but at least we try to do it fun. We try to make it more enjoyable. Anyway, what do you got?
Well, one of the things is about a certain person you guys all know. I know that you guys have talked about Coach Dave before.
Coach Dave Dobenmeyer.
Yeah. And, all of his knowledge about, politics and religion and world goings on and such. Because, he was a high school football coach, you see. So he knows all the things.
Well, I mean, that does make him qualified for to speak on almost any subject. That and I think he probably follows the QAnon stuff real good. So
then
he's got to be well informed.
Absolutely. Well, he's up to some shenanigans.
Oh.
He really is. And it's pretty funny. He has formed a new religious group called the Christian Revolution. He's partnered with a fellow conspiracy theorist, Sherry Tenpenny. Oh, no.
What?
Oh, no. Tenpenny, is that the person that my parents were listening to about anti-vax stuff?
Yeah, I think so.
Oh, no! Post-production, add in like a zoink or something sound effect.
You did just fine. I think we'll avoid the sound effect.
Oh my gosh, my face is turning red. Oh, all this just deepens my... Oh,
your
goodness.
loathing for this particular...
Yes.
thing.
Well, anyway, they have committed to raising $100 million in their first month of existence.
Oh, wow.
It's a lot of money.
It's a lofty goal.
It is. And they have a really solid plan for getting this $100 million.
Oh, I can't wait to hear. I will use it for my next fundraising venture.
Absolutely. They I can't even get it out. It's hilarious. They are going to earn their $100 million by accusing large companies of being anti-Christian.
Oh.
Yeah.
Oh, I see.
Yeah, they're going to go after large corporations. Yeah. and yell to the rafters that they're anti-Christian, and people are just going to give them money. These people are just going to hand over millions and millions of dollars to these people.
Surely there's more to this strategy than just that.
No, that's literally the strategy. They will demand these companies to pay up after they've charged them with being anti-Christian, anti-Christ. They will demand them to pay up because they are going to claim that these people who have probably donated to Black Lives Matter aren't really diverse because Christians are part of a diverse culture, right? So if they're not donating to Christians,
then how could they claim to be diverse?
Exactly. So they better give some money up or else.
Great. Yeah, I think
people will think they are anti-Christian.
Well, I think this is going to go very well for them, especially considering that Dave Dobenmeyer is definitely one of the great leaders of Christianity right now. So
absolutely.
If I'm a big corporation and I'm looking to fulfill apparently the Christianity quota of my diversity giving, Coach Dave will be the first guy to come to mind. For a lot of these people.
Totally. And what's hilarious is that he specifically targets companies that have donated to Black Lives Matter as if equality isn't a Christian goal. I mean, he's like calling it right out. He's calling the kettle black.
Well, yeah. Equality is definitely not a Christian goal in these United States.
No, it is not.
All right. Well, there you go. Good luck to Coach Dave. I have a story about a Catholic school in Charlotte, North Carolina.
Oh.
You're just going to sigh at the concept of a Catholic school in North Carolina.
Yeah, it's the South and it's Catholic.
But it's the north part of the South.
Oh.
It's North Carolina.
Well, then I take it all back.
Anyway, a man by the name of Lonnie Billard worked at this Catholic school as a teacher. He was a teacher there for a long time, and then he was a substitute teacher there, part-time. And then he announced on his social media, his personal social media, that he was marrying his partner, who was also a man.
Oh, no. I see where this is going.
Well, yes. Obviously, the Catholic school fired him summarily. He was dismissed from his teaching role and no longer allowed to teach. They claimed that he was advocating for gayness, I guess.
Oh.
By living his life.
Absolutely. Well, I mean, it goes to, gay people are just trying to recruit us all.
Well, that's true. I know I've been recruited a few times. Anyway, he sued.
Good.
And, well, in this environment, the thought of suing for something like this is...
Because they're a religious institution, right? It's not just the free market.
Exactly. So the question is does this school have a religious right to discriminate? Can they get away with it?
I mean, he should have known better. He was teaching at a Catholic school.
He
made his choice.
But they should have known better. He was the drama teacher. Come on, guys.
Oh, my.
Come on. You know who you're dealing with. Anywho, he sued. He won. He just won the lawsuit. The judge has ruled that he was wrongfully fired. And so that... I love that. Yeah, that's a Title 7 of the Civil Rights Act. The judge ruled that he was discriminated against, and that's not acceptable. So, hurrah.
Absolutely. And honestly, now that we're talking about this and I'm like, oh, I see where this is going. But honestly, it's not like he was preaching his gay over the drama pulpit, at school. This was on his personal media page, clearly.
Well, if there's one thing we have learned, everyone, it is that what you put on social media counts. It does count.
In large amounts.
So we've been seeing a lot of people being fired lately because of shit they've said on their social media.
Yeah,
which I think is actually great because usually it's, Black Lives Matter has been very vigilant about making sure that they call out people who have said horrible things.
Yeah.
And I'm all for it, but you cannot call I'm getting married advocacy for anything other than, maybe the flower industry. I don't know.
Absolutely.
All
right. I hope someone makes them a gay wedding cake.
Well, yeah, they might have some trouble with that. But maybe, hopefully, yes. What do you got?
Well, taking it down a notch. We went from a silly to an encouraging life is maybe moving in the right direction to
it's definitely not moving in the right direction, but sometimes there are nice things.
Well, I'm going to take it down a notch back to the sad and depressing.
Do it.
Well, abortion's been on everybody's mind lately.
Sure.
And I mean, there's so many angles and, to this Texas law that was just put into place, SB 8.
Yeah.
And, there's a lot to talk about on all sides of the story.
Are you saying that Kate and I didn't cover it? All the things
actually
last week?
No, surprisingly. And the reason I'm choosing to talk about this is because I was actually surprised by this and maybe a little bit encouraged.
Oh.
Some religious groups and faith leaders and whole religions are actually pretty frustrated by SB 8, and they're afraid because it infringes on their religious rights.
Interesting.
Yes.
Okay, so what are we talking about here?
Well, all of us assumed, well, I did anyway, that all religions, equal anti-abortion.
Yeah. I get where you're coming from.
If God is involved, no abortion for you.
He doesn't want you to kill the little fetuses.
Yes. But I was surprised to learn that one of the things that clergy are really afraid for is that they'll be considered aiding and abetting somebody that is considering abortion by just counseling their constituents, their congregation, excuse me.
If they have under this rule, if they have a conversation with a young woman, with a person who is pregnant.
Yes. It could be a couple. It could be a person, whoever. And
the word abortion comes up.
Yeah.
They could be sued.
And, one of the things that came to mind was like, oh my gosh, isn't what you talk about with your clergy, with your pastor, with your faith leader confidential? Not no more.
Not in Texas.
Not in Texas. It's everybody's business. So that surprised me. And I was like, yeah, what about that? So the other thing that was actually really interesting that this article touched on wasn't just about, these faith leaders not being able to talk to their peeps about these kinds of decisions, but it was also that certain religions actually think it's a sacred mandate to take care of a mother, her health and her mental health and her physical health, and that abortion is called for in a lot of cases, and that is their religious right to be able to counsel for.
Absolutely. I mean, this bill in Texas doesn't make any carve outs for rape, for incest, for health,
the health of the mother.
Does it have a carve out for the health of the mother?
No.
I don't remember.
It does not.
Anyway, plenty of religious people feel that it's not a sin.
No.
So it's just healthcare.
Because what are we pro-lifing here? Like, we're certainly not pro-life of the mother.
Yeah.
And
we're gonna transition to the wording of the pregnant person, because it's not just necessarily just a mother.
Absolutely.
We got a lovely email from a listener asking us to be more aware of that. So I just wanted to.
Thank you. I really appreciate that. So some statistics out there. The Pew Research survey found that in 2021, so this is current, the majority of white non-evangelical Protestants, 63%, and Black Protestants, 64%, believe abortion should be legal in all or most cases. That is the majority of these Christian people.
Yeah.
And then it also casts the question to Catholics. 55% of Catholics feel that abortion should be legal in all or most cases.
Love it.
And ratcheting it up a notch, 83% of Jews think that abortion should be legal in all or most cases.
Yeah.
That is, and that's huge.
Yeah. So I do like that this thought that the enemy is not religion, but just this very vocal, insane far right group.
Yeah, that are using politics or using religion as a political tool.
Right.
I think that's what it is. And they're trying to legislate their religious beliefs on people, even though they're just one religion of many.
Right. We shouldn't let everybody off the hook. There are plenty of Jews that are against it. There are plenty of Catholics are supposed to be against it.
Yeah.
But, according to their, that one guy that wears the funny hat and everything. But, it's nice to know that the majority of Americans feel differently.
I think that one of the big takeaways, and we've heard even politicians say that there's going to be plenty of precedent to challenge this SB 8 law, but I think the religious clergy and the attack that it will be on their First Amendment rights will be what gets it to the Supreme Court, and it'll be an interesting battle to follow up on.
Yes, indeed. Yes, indeed. Well, speaking of abortion, I have some good news on that front this week, which is that the Supreme Court of Mexico recently ruled that it is unconstitutional in Mexico to punish a woman for getting an abortion. They unanimously annulled several provisions of a law in the state of Coahuila.
That's the one that borders Texas, correct?
Right on the Texas border. But basically...
Coincidentally.
Right? So I think the wall...
Be ready.
That wall might start keeping people in instead of keeping people out.
Yeah, absolutely.
Anyway, the decision... Basically, though this doesn't fully decriminalize abortion, it kind of does in the entire country. Now, each of the different states are going to have to grapple with this on their own. But really, basically, it has made it so that you cannot prosecute a woman.
It sets a precedent
for a criminal charge for having an abortion.
That is awesome.
I think that's really amazing. There were 4 Mexican states that already allowed abortion, made it legal. Mexico City, Oaxaca, Veracruz, and Hidalgo.
All the good ones.
Those are the good ones. I feel like that's a pretty good litmus test. Like,
absolutely.
If that's if they allow that, then it's likely that they're pretty cool in other ways. But the other 28 states of Mexico will now have to deal with the fact that no, you are not able to criminalize this event. It's not made legal now. That doesn't make it legal. And battles are yet to be fought on that front. But
a woman can seek medical attention.
Yeah. Well, yeah.
That's really what it comes down to. It's a medical procedure. It's healthcare.
Yeah, it is healthcare. And so, and women can no longer be prosecuted for a crime for that. So I think that's great.
Incredible.
Hurrah.
Hail Mexico.
Hooray. Viva la Mexico.
Arriba.
So what else you got?
Well, I wanted to end on a high note.
All right.
So let's take a trip, if you will.
So let's get high.
Let's do. Let's jaunt our way across the ocean to Norway.
Ah.
Yeah. The beautiful Great White North.
That's Canada traditionally.
Oh, okay.
But Norway gets that way too. So
absolutely.
And it's just as north as Canada is, even norther than a lot of Canada.
It is norther. So in a little cute Lutheran church that the majority of Norwegians who practice religion are Lutheran.
Indeed.
Recently, they performed a name change ceremony for a transgender woman.
Oh.
Isn't that wonderful?
In the church?
In the church.
Interesting.
Yes. They held the name change ceremony for a 49-year-old transgender woman.
Well, that's fascinating. Was it the priest that led the thing?
It was. It was Pastor Stein Ovesen who led the ceremony.
I know that guy. He's great.
Yeah?
He's a good friend.
That's amazing. Well, he is a good guy. By all measures, in this article, he partnered to plan this ceremony with a non-government foundation that supports people of LGBTQ plus sexual orientation, gender identity, or gender expression, and kind of helps them through their challenges.
Sure.
And so we partnered with them so that it could be, known to all that they were doing this name ceremony for this lovely person who was coming out as transgender.
Like, Norway is so progressive just as a society.
They are.
Was there any blowback?
There was a little bit, actually. I was surprised to hear, but there were, some in the conservative wing in Oslo and Norway who were deeply concerned, was the words that were used when I read this story. But
yeah, God forbid someone should change their name in your church.
Right? I mean, what if I just get a wild hair and want to change my, name to Sparkle Pony?
That is your name.
Oh, well, dang it. But yeah, Stein, his response to this right-wing conservative, small minority in Norway just said, hey, for me, this was important. It was an expression of grace and openness that he feels God is about.
Okay.
I know.
Okay. Apparently, you Norwegians haven't learned that when you are of LGBTQ, when one of those letters applies to you, you leave the church.
Right?
That's what you do. But apparently they haven't figured that out. So at least if you can find a nice church, that's better than a not nice church.
Absolutely.
See, this is the thing that I don't want the churches to figure out, because frankly, I still think religion is poisonous no matter what.
Largely, absolutely.
Even if it's a nice church. But what I don't want the churches to figure out that if they're nice, people will stay.
I know.
Because this being mean to everybody is really helping our side of things.
It really is.
I
mean, they're giving us, plenty good reason to not be religious.
Yeah, for centuries, they were the only place anyone could go for comfort, and they controlled the narrative completely, the churches did.
And now that's not the case. We have other options.
We got a whole internet now. We got
options, baby.
TV, we got anything. So we got podcasts.
We have community outside of religion that actually exists now.
Yeah.
And we can go to them where we're not going to be, bullied. And
we don't need you, Padre. All right, I'll close off with an interesting. It's a story about Bishop Javier Novel Goma in Spain.
España.
He was the youngest bishop in Spain when he was commissioned. I don't know when he was
called,
crowned, when he was
ordained
a bishop at 41 years old.
What?
Yeah,
that's young. For a bishop. There's a hierarchy here.
You were raised Mormon.
Right.
Bishop doesn't mean anything to a Mormon.
No.
But yes, a bishop is over a bunch of priests. It's a stake president.
It's the equivalent of a stake president.
In our parlance. In the parlance of the Mormons.
Boring.
It is boring, as a matter of fact. Anyway, this bishop, so he was ordained at 41. He's now 52. But he is leaving the church.
Oh.
Or at very least, he's leaving his post as a bishop. I guess I don't know if he's leaving the church. But there's a reason that he's leaving, and I think that this is delightful.
Oh, I love this. I can't wait for it.
He fell in love.
Oh, wonderful.
Now that's fine. That's cute.
Well, but
Catholics are not Catholic.
They're supposed to be lonely, miserable, solitary beings.
The clergy in Catholicism is not allowed to have love. Well, he fell in love with a woman.
Scandalous,
right? And left. I think one of the big takeaways is he actually left the church rather than have just
an illicit affair.
Which is the normal thing. That's what you would normally do.
I think this goes to show how much integrity he has.
Yeah. The really delightful thing is that the woman that he fell in love with is Sylvia Caballal. I'm not good at the Spanish names. Forgive. Who is a psychologist and an author who writes erotic novels.
Yes,
with a satanic twist to them.
Oh my gosh, I love this so much. Oh, I'm going to read her books.
Right? Yeah. It's just very delightful.
How did they meet?
She was probably confessing. Who knows?
Oh, I love this so much. That's even better.
Yeah, I don't actually
imagine I imagine he's a virgin at this point. Imagine the sex she's going to teach him.
Yeah, right?
Woo!
He's not ready. You're not ready.
He's not ready.
Bishop, you're not ready. Take it. Just start with someone easier.
I mean, role play with his bishop's smock, I'm sure.
Well,
woo.
That's already happened for sure. For sure. That has already happened.
Oh, I love it so much. Well, honestly, he chose love.
He chose love, which is definitely the opposite of choosing church. Anyway, hey, if you have something you'd like to tell us, or if you left the priesthood because of your love, write to us, podcast@thankgodimatheist.com, or call and leave a voicemail for us. We'll actually be able to play those next week.
Nice.
So the number for that is 424-666-8442. That's 424-666-TGIA. And we'll be right back with a little bit more show.
Love it.
Well, Andrea.
Yes, Daniel.
This is the point of the show when we inflict someone else's voice on our unsuspecting listeners.
Oh no, whose voice do I have to hear?
This is Hank Kuhneman, who I don't know if you'll even be able to follow him. Half the time when I listen to Hank Kuhneman, it's like he thinks he has a direction that he's going. He is a pinball, man. He just bounces off of topics like you wouldn't believe.
Well, that's what a lot of these people do, right? Because if they're not coherent, you can't question.
You can't call them on it.
You can't call them on it. They're all over the place. You can't catch up.
So anyway, what Hank's going to get to for us is he believes Trump won. He knows Trump won the election. He's going to make sure that we all understand why.
This again?
Why we need him to come back.
Oh.
We need to bring him back. So here's what he has to say.
To enlighten.
Here's the thing. He has to be reinstated. Here's why he has to be reinstated. So it proves the prophet's right? Stop! Here's why. And right-wing ding-wing that write about me, there you go, right about that. Now listen, here's why it has to be reinstated. You're a joke. Yeah, you are. Anyway, I mock you because you're wrong. And you're idiots. So here's the thing. The truth about it is this. Listen, he has to be reinstated. Why? Because he legally won. He righteously won. And here's why. If you ignore it, then it's saying that they can get by with anything. What next? They're already trying to force a vaccination that they don't even know if it works. What next? Shut your churches down? Take your kids out of your home? Rape your wife? Put you in a concentration camp? Who knows? I know they're gonna really mess with that one. I didn't say that's what they're gonna do. That's why you gotta stand up, 81 million of you. Stand up.
Hide your kids, hide your wife.
There you go. It is, he's very insistent. Man, those consequences, if we don't get Trump back in there.
Yeah.
I mean, it stands to reason. Trump has a lot of very credible accusations against him.
Yeah, if we don't have him in the White House, we don't know where he is. He could be raping all over the place.
It is a little more dangerous out there knowing he's not ensconced safely. Hopefully they ensconce him in some place other than the White House.
Maybe with some bars.
We'll
a lot
see.
of metal and concrete.
We'll see.
Okay.
You never can tell.
Well, what is the Democrats' end game by putting their voters in concentration camps?
No, we put the Christians in concentration camps.
Oh gosh, I wasn't following.
Anyway, listen, friends, we don't have any email or thanks for all of our patrons again this week because I need Frank to be a part of that. So we're just gonna tootle along, but we do want to thank all of our patrons so much and let you know that if you would like to be a patron who is thanked once Frank gets back, now is a great time to do that.
Do it.
There you go. So go to thankgodimatheist.com, click on the Support Us tab, and that'll give you all the ways that you can do that. We certainly appreciate it. It is a beautiful thing. And there are perks over there. We give you magic powers. We give you the priesthood. So,
whoa, do I get to the priesthood for being a guest host?
I'll give you some priesthood.
All right.
I'll shoot a little priesthood your way.
All right.
I don't know if you want it, but you got it now. I
want it.
You got it. All right. Well, if you also would like the priesthood, just go to thankgodimatheist.com, click the Support Us, and we sure do appreciate each and every one of you. And we'll thank you by name next week. More show coming up. Well, Andrea.
Yes, Daniel?
This morning, you sent me a link to an article in ChristianHeadlines.com.
Yes.
That was quite delightful. The link itself, the article that you sent me, I was very surprised wasn't didn't tip their hand more
right
where they were actually coming from. They actually they were fairly restrained.
Yeah, it was way more informational and less opinion than I thought it would be.
Yeah, which is surprising because the thrust of the article is an article about an article. You always gotta love those. It's about this article in Harvard Law Today about polyamory.
Yes.
Now, obviously, polyamory is an evil thing to engage in, and only bad people do it.
Right.
Wait a minute. Why are you being so... Anyway, I just thought it'd be a good thing for us to talk about because it started by talking about the Supreme Court ruling that legalized same-sex marriage in these United States of America.
Yes. And what a slippery slope that was.
Yeah, basically, it got to, it talked about how Chief Justice John Roberts at the time, then in 2015,
yes,
wrote a warning, a dire warning to us all that if the majority opinion that allowed same-sex marriage
yes,
would then, let me find the quote, no reason at all why the two-person element of the core definition of marriage may be preserved while the man-woman element may not.
Whoa.
What if more than one person were able to get married?
Skun-dun-dun-dun.
It's a terrifying specter for the religious right, and has been since the days when our religious forefathers, the founders of the church in which you and I were indoctrinated.
Yes.
They practiced polygamy, and
which in most cases was not consensual.
It was patriarchal polygamy is especially religiously mandated patriarchal polygamy
absolutely
is some bullshit. It is obviously not okay.
Right.
There's never been a time when it's been practiced when it's been okay. So it ain't. But back then, Joseph Smith starts the Mormon Church. He starts having some wives on the side and gets a bunch of things going. At that time, I don't remember who the president was that said that there were the dual abominations of slavery and polygamy. But man, that's a pretty strong association right there.
Yeah.
Like the chattel slavery of the South versus people marrying too much. That seems like maybe not quite equivalent. It wasn't great though. But we're not talking about patriarchal polygamy. We're talking about polyamory. And for those of you who aren't aware, polyamory is just a consensual agreement to between people who are in relationships.
Yes, it's a type of relationship status. It's basically a relationship status.
Yeah.
For consenting adults.
Yeah. So people in a relationship with each other, a love relationship with each other, are allowed by mutual agreement to be in also other love relationships.
Yes.
Or sex relationships or whatever.
Or however you see fit, because who should tell us what our relationships should look like?
Indeed. And the Harvard Law Today article basically was talking about how people who are in polyamorous relationships, there are a lot of rights and there are a lot of sort of legal and sociological issues with that.
Yeah. They don't have legal protections that
right.
now even the LGBTQ plus community has, based on, the passing of the Supreme Court law and all of that kind of stuff.
Right. So this was just an interesting discussion of that issue, talking about things like if there is a parent, a co-parent of a child who isn't a legal parent of that child, they can't become a legal parent of that child currently, if that child already has a legal mother and a legal father, or two legal parents.
Right. And for simple enough reasons as even just picking them up from school, being released to somebody who is considered one of their legal guardians.
Right.
Things like that.
Well, one of their illegal guardians.
Right.
Non-legal.
Or visiting, one of your partners in the hospital.
Yeah. So this is it becomes an interesting question. And it's a question that I honestly haven't given a lot of thought to the legal issues that can come up with polyamory, which is funny because, and a lot of our listeners know this, some of you don't. You and I, Andrea, are in a polyamorous arrangement.
We are.
Our marriage.
We are polyamorous.
Yes, indeed.
Yes.
I've never liked that word because I feel like in the same way that a lot of people don't like the word atheist because there's a lot of associations with it.
Absolutely. Do you know how many times people have asked, well, or just assumed that we have orgies and threesomes, or we're swingers, or,
right.
Not
Not
whatever.
that there's anything wrong with any of that stuff.
No, but it's,
But we're so much more boring than that.
Right.
So
let me be boring.
Yeah, don't lump me in with all those interesting people. How dare you? So yeah, I just thought we would talk a little bit about that, because it hasn't been, well, until very recently, we haven't had any legal issues with it. But there are some interesting, and I talked at one point with Andrew Torres of Opening Arguments fame, because we were going through a thing. Kate, my partner, who y'all heard last week, but we didn't say that she was my partner, but she is my partner. She went through a divorce fairly recently. We can't really get into too much of this, but her ex sued to terminate alimony because I spend
some nights there,
and it was his belief that was legal cohabitation, and therefore he shouldn't have to pay alimony. I actually am not financially intertwined with Kate at all. So
right, and he's married to another person, and financially has a household. And
well, actually, that non-legal status of my relationship with Kate helped in this case because they were not able to establish that there was a cohabitation. That was mostly because of the financial thing. We're not financially intertwined, and so he had no case on that point. But it's muddy water. It is crazy muddy water. And when I was talking to Andrew about the case, he said, I have tried to look at family law, but he called it the Wild West in the legal world.
Absolutely.
Because it is nutty, but something should be done. And here's the thing, there are some parts of the country, and I learned this from this from this article, from this Harvard article. Some of the areas right around Harvard are actually the only areas in the country that have given legal standing to polyamorous relationships.
Yes, and it was this Harvard Law group that kind of helped kind of build some coalitions to help that framework
take place. And one of the things, we're talking about things like extending domestic partnership, even like
status, even if you don't live together,
insurance benefits.
Yeah.
To multiple people. Now, I think that there's a bit of a quagmire there because, a company I could very reasonably, I think, say, well, how many people do I have to extend this to? How many people do I have to pay for insurance for?
Well, how many kids are they going to have that I have to pay for?
With just one person working for me, you know what I mean?
Right, but I mean, the children, you could have 10 kids. Are they going to say stop having kids because I don't want to cover those people?
I mean, they want to.
Yeah, but
I promise
they can't.
I promise you they want to.
But they can't. So it's like, it is muddy waters though.
But that's all I'm saying is that, like, to me, it's not immediately obvious what the answers to any of this stuff is.
But I think the point of the article is that we need to start having a conversation about it because it is, I think the statistic said that 5 to 6% of people living in America are polyamorous. I thought that was a little low, but
really? I thought that was high. I was like impressed. I was like, wow, really that high, huh?
Yeah. But I think that, you and Kate, for example, since you've mentioned her as your partner, the fact that you're married to me and have financial entanglements and certain rights, as my partner, it precludes her from having some of those same rights. And you guys have been together for a long time. And, heaven forbid something happens to you.
Or to her.
And you guys can't, in the article, they cited somebody that had to lie and say that this person was their sister to be able to visit at the hospital.
Yeah. And and you have a partner also.
I
and
do.
The same applies to him. I feel like look, Justice Roberts was absolutely right. There's no reason to say, yes, gay people can marry, and no, you can't open this up any further than that. We are reimagining how human relationships work.
The same standards shouldn't and don't apply anymore.
It's just look, when we divorced marriage as a concept from the church, which we did,
which we should have,
rightfully so. And when it stopped being just an institution, a financial institution of like, I marry this woman so that our families are linked together, and I get paid a dowry for marrying her.
Or she can only claim her family's inheritance if she has a man. She can't claim, she can't own land unless she has a man.
Yeah, the concept of marriage just being a love relationship and and that kind of institution is new. Jane Austen essentially invented the concept. So if we're going, and since we've done that, and since we no longer are controlled by the church, guess what? We're gonna look for different ways to live our lives.
It's less about marriage and more about love. In fact, even calling it marriage, is so like wrapped up in a lot of baggage, religious baggage.
1980s to call it marriage.
Totally.
Yeah.
A life commitment, a love commitment. No, seriously, it's like.
Here's the thing. A lot of people who are totally on board with gay marriage are not going to be okay with what you and I are saying right now. Even our listeners, as liberal as they tend to be, we once got someone changed their stars rating of our show on iTunes because they heard me on the How to Heretic say that I was polyamorous.
What?
And they were like, that's the same as polygamy. I can't support that. And they docked a couple stars to this show because I'm on it.
Wait, do they even understand, again, like read the definition of polyamory?
Look, it's multiple. I'm just saying not everybody's going to be immediately on board with this thing. A lot of our listeners are. It's so normal to us. I am currently reminding you and me that this is not normal to most people.
I guess that's true, but for me, flat stop, it's just love. And as long as consenting adults are involved, I don't care what it is, whether it's a partnership, a love relationship, a marriage, whatever it is, if it's consenting adults, like,
yeah, I obviously agree with you, but we didn't start out this way. We had to come to this ourselves. You know what I mean? Like you and I had to evolve to this. We started out as a monogamous relationship.
yes,
And,
but you know,
it's just, what I'm saying is we're in the early stages of this question. And I don't know where it's going to go. And I don't know how many people are going to give it a shot. And I don't know how many people are going to hate it, because a lot of people do try it. It isn't for everyone. It doesn't work for them.
And
that's
that is
fine.
okay. The point is that everyone should just be able to have the kind of relationship that they want.
Yeah.
And that fulfills them and makes them happy.
Yeah. Or the multiple kinds of relationships that they want.
Or not at all.
Yeah.
You know, it also brings up, the article brought up, and I thought this was really interesting. It's not just about people who are all about more love, more love, more love, like we are. Like it's, it's all about, being able to have as much love in our life as possible, which is incredible. But there's a lot of people out there who are aromantic and asexual, and being able to be in a relationship with somebody in regards to a marriage or domestic partnerships, that aren't constricted by the same idea that we have about relationships.
It's interesting because what will happen is you and I are going to be accused of advocating for this lifestyle, which we are not.
We're advocating for people to be able to live their life the way they want and be legally recognized within certain rights.
Or at least what we need to do is all of us have the conversation. What rights need to happen? What needs to be enshrined in law so that everybody has the rights that are needed, and what rights aren't needed? What
Correct.
rights shouldn't be passed along? And I think that all of that is a valid conversation. But as long as it's in the shadows, nothing can happen. So I'm grateful that this, that these loonies over at Harvard are actually looking into it and talking about it.
Yeah, it's really remarkable. And it's, what I think is encouraging. And I think one of the reasons why it's an easier conversation is these are law students. They are younger people. They are a little bit more woke, if you will. And they're witness to a lot more openness in their life, whether it's, the LGBTQ plus community, racial diversity. They're a lot more tolerant of things that are other. And they're the ones exploring this.
Yeah. Yeah, it'll be interesting. It'll be interesting to watch, to see what happens as this moves forward. But I don't know. Here's what's really funny is that you and I embarked on this thing. I didn't do any research about it. I really don't know the poly community very well at all.
I don't either.
We just sort of decided that we were down with like each other having other relationships, and we didn't check in. Like I called my one friend that I knew was poly and was just like, "Hey, thinking about doing this. What do you think?" And just had a conversation, and that was the sum total of the research.
But that's okay. Why does somebody have to research in order to make a decision that feels right to us? Like we should just be able to do what feels right to us regardless.
I think that's the point. I think that's the point.
I don't care what other people think. And so in researching or communing with others about it, I didn't need to ask permission.
No.
It was really just between you and I.
Yeah, but I think that what this ends up meaning, and frankly, if we had done some research, we might have been able to avoid a couple of the pitfalls that we encountered along the way, but that's okay.
Sure.
That's fine. I think the point here is what we've come to is there are lots of ways to love, and there are lots of ways to craft a life that includes loving other humans.
Yes.
And I feel like we need to have a much broader discussion about that so that we as a society can open up to that. And we've done a great job on a few fronts.
Yeah.
We just need to keep going. I think that's the whole takeaway is just keep going.
Absolutely. Keep trudging forward and do the next best thing.
Yeah. Even if you yourself couldn't fathom having the kind of relationship that those guys over there have, okay.
That's fine.
Nobody's asking you to.
Nobody's, legislating. Oh, wait, people legislate their religious beliefs all the time.
Yeah, exactly. So even if you're disgusted at, religious monogamous marriage, we can still embrace a society that allows and embraces them. We can be okay with that. And they can learn. I mean, they can't, but they can learn to be okay with us, I think.
Yeah.
Anyway, listen, I imagine some folks will have some things to say about this. So
please
share. If you are one of those people, please feel free to write into us, podcast@thankgodimatheist.com. Tell us your experience. Tell us why we're awful people, you and me, Andrea, for doing this.
We're just horrible.
We're bad, naughty people. Anyway, again, podcast@thankgodimatheist.com. You can leave us a voicemail, 424-666-8442. Go to the Facebook page, facebook.com/TGIAtheist. Click the like button. Join one of our multiple members-only lounges. You can do that. There's one on Facebook. There's one on, what's the other thing? Discord. I'm super hip to all the things. Just go to thankgodimatheist.com/members-only. And that'll take you to the different members-only lounges. Thanks to the Red Rock Hot Club for the use of their fine music. Thanks to Gordon Johnston for the use of his music. And thank you to Andrea Beecher for coming on the show.
Well, thank you for having me. This was just a delight.
Well, I appreciate it.
It was very fun.
And thanks to all of you for tuning in. We sure do appreciate you.
Yes.
Bye-bye.
Bye.